Hello guys, welcome to a new video, and if you've seen the last video, you pretty much know, or don't know yet, what's gonna happen, but here it is. Probably the title suggests this already, but I bought KW CLUBSPORT two-way suspension with competition springs in the rear. So I wasn't planning on buying this, that's why you see the set is second hand. It was such a good deal, and I wasn't even searching for it, but I had a search, I don't know what you call it, but I get a notification when someone posts an ad of this, and I saw this and I just couldn't pass it up, so I bought it. And I'm pretty excited. I wasn't planning on doing it, but here we are. I think everyone knows what I'm talking about. I'm not gonna buy any more mods, but 1 week later you end up with a new mod. So I got everything laid down here. So we got the front shocks with the camber plates, adjustment on the rear and adjustment on the top, a bump and rebound. The bottom is bump, the top is rebound, and of course the rears with the competition springs, also bump and rebound, and of course the toolkit to adjust the bump. So right now I'm just gonna run with the settings that are on the coilovers, just because I have no knowledge about them, and I'm probably gonna have a setup next year once the car is fully done yet, because sometimes I change suspension stuff and then it needs to get realigned, and if you get a suspension setup for like 300 euros, I need to change stuff that really sucks. So the upcoming winter I'm gonna change some more suspension stuff so it's fully ready for next year, and then the beginning of next year I'm gonna probably bring it to a shop around the Nürburgring to get a custom setup for the ring, because that's pretty much the only track that I drive really. So what we're gonna do now is check out the car. I think we're gonna start with the fronts. Should be pretty easy. It's just 3 bolts at the rear, 3 at the top. Shove it in. That's it. So let's check out the car. Let's get the old APs out, and then we can put the KWs in. Pretty excited.
It's not a game, it's a rich thing.
Okay, as you can see, 1, 2, 3 on the top. These are 13mm, I think. And then on here you have the actual coilover. Alright, and then here you have 1 bolt. And on the bottom, right there, I don't know if you can see it on camera, I can see, but 2 bolts of those. You basically loosen those and then the coilover comes loose. So let's start undoing those. This is the sway bar link, and instead that it's connected to the control arm, it's connected to the shock. So if you don't have this, then you don't need to do this step really to get this loose, but if you do, you need to get it loose, of course. Now we are going to loosen those bolts at the rear that I showed you before. They're all 80 they're all 80mm, so 1 at the top here and then 2 at the bottom. Alright, so the bolt and the back is 18, but the nut is 19. So now we know that. That one is loose. I haven't taken it out yet. I'm just gonna loosen everything first and then take everything out. So we're gonna loosen those at the bottom now. Alright, that's 1 and that's 2 out. Alright, all the bolts at the bottom are loose. Now the only thing left is at the top. So let's move on to the top side. So everything is loose now. We're gonna drop the suspension and then we can take the coilover out. Time to put the new one in. Yes. So the KW is mounted at the top just for it to not fall off. I had to delete this reinforcement plate just because the studs are a little bit too short, but I think the strut bar is gonna reinforce it enough with that thick of a plate on top of it. So what you need to do now is we need to tighten this bolt in here and then two at the bottom, and then it's basically in. Then we need to tighten everything properly, and then we can adjust the height, and well, probably need to do the rest first, but then after that we can adjust height and stuff like that. So let's get the bolts in. Okay, so everything is mounted back up again. The sway bar link, everything. So, a lot of tools here. What we're gonna do now is put the wheel back on and then move on to the other side. For the other side, I'm probably gonna remove the brake disc as well, just so you guys can see the bolts better and the work better. And I'm gonna turn the car around so we have more light. So for the other side, I'm gonna show you more details. Alright, I turned the car around so we have a little bit more light. We're gonna move on to the right side now, but first I'm gonna show you the difference. So this is the old AP and this is the new KW. So they look pretty identical, but of course this is only adjustable in height, and that is how hard it is, basically how higher the car, or how tougher the spring. So, and this is adjustable in the rear, of in at the bottom, the top, and yeah. Now it's time to put the KW in. Alright, we're gonna move on to the rears. I already loosened the wheels, so now I'm gonna take the wheels off, and then we can change the rears. The rears should be a little bit easier. It's just 2 bolts at the top from the trunk, then 1 at the bottom, and of course the springs we need to switch. But that's it. So let's get the wheels loose first. As you can see here, those are the 2 bolts from the top of the shock. I'm pretty sure they're 30mm as well. Then the one on the rear, or the bottom, is... yeah, it's pretty straightforward, but it's this one. Then once you get that out, you have enough space to get the actual spring out. And then you put the spring back in and the shock, and they're good to go. I think, I'm guessing, this is 18. Yeah, 18. And the top is 13, so we're gonna loosen those first. Alright. That's loose, just 1 bolt, pretty easy. So, this one is out and we can replace it for the KW one. Pretty easy, it's just 3 bolts. Ah, just like that. Alright. Alright. That's a lot easier. So as you can see, we have a lot more space here, and I'm gonna show you why. So as you can see, the shock of the clubs of the KW is a lot shorter. That's why the spring doesn't need to be as tight on as the other one, just because the wheel can't travel out anymore. And this is already without the sway bar, so originally it can't even travel this far out. So we're gonna get the sway bar back on, and then we can actually mount the shock. So nice. Now we can install the KW shock. Alright. They're tight at the bottom. Now I'm gonna tighten them at the top. Okay, we did the left side, that's completely bolted down. Shock and spring. So now we're gonna move on to the right side, pretty much the exact same. Let's hope this spring is gonna come out a little bit easier. As I now know, I need to adjust the adjuster to get the spring out. The wheels are on. If you can see the big difference in wheel travel compared to, that's crazy. Like before, the wheel just would hang here, but it's just looks like it's not even. Yeah, it's still compressed. Looks like it, but we can lower the car. I'm gonna tighten the wheels properly, and then we can go for a drive finally. So first impression, first 2 minutes that I'm driving, just came out of my street and it's stiff. So compared to the APs, which are considered very soft, this is like very stiff. Of course it's just normal driving 2 minutes in, I don't know what I'm talking about, but first impressions, it's so much stiffer than the APs. Here, even after this bump, and just simple steering inputs just feel so much directer. But we're gonna warm up the car. We're gonna warm up the car further, and then we can give it some more. We can test it a little bit better. What in terms of what we can actually do on the streets, just because the only real place you can test these are on the track. So we'll have to get that done very soon. But we're gonna warm up the car first, and then we're gonna do some street driving, and then you can get some impressions on what it feels like. Okay, so I just came back from the test drive. It wasn't really a test drive because you can't really do anything that is even close to what this suspension can do, but the directness and the stiffness is hits on another level. I've never felt that before in my car, especially the stiffness and the turn in. So when you turn in, the car just immediately turns in, and this is without a good alignment, a good setup. This is just putting the coils on, and yeah, so I still need to adjust the height a little bit. For the like in-depth settings, rebounds, bump, I'll have to wait for another time to get that done by someone professionally. And yeah, it's crazy how stiff it is on the bumps. And before you didn't really feel the bumps, but now you definitely feel the bumps. So yeah, car looks mega. I can't wait to test it out on the Nürburgring. That's probably gonna be very soon. So hopefully within 2 weeks we're back at the ring, maybe next week. But you're gonna see that video a little bit later. So can't wait to test it out on the track. So far I'm pretty happy with it. Of course the install is pretty easy. I've done the APs before, and I've also taken them out to change the top mount. So yeah, it's pretty easy. So I'm gonna get the car inside, and thank you guys for watching the video. Hope you guys liked it. Hope you guys learned how to change your coilovers, because it's pretty much the same for every coilover. It's the 3 bolts at the bottom, 3 at the top, and that's it. So thank you guys for watching the video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.